As you know, we are starting the first in history since the creation of the world to give an actual shir and class on the entire Shir Hashirim. But the Shir Hashirim, how it's given according to Chassidut, which is the Alter Rebbe, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, which wrote Maimorim on the Shir Hashirim, which is over 50 pages, and it starts pasuk by pasuk explaining Shir Hashirim on a deeper level. So we are going to record this, and then this will be sent out to the group and also on YouTube. So the questions that we ask should be questions that have to do with the subject of this actual subject. All the other questions we could ask another time. So first I want to just say one thing about Shir Hashirim. Rashi says that there's 24 books in the Torah, Tanakh, and they're all holy. All the 24 books, you know, Yoshua, Shoftim, Shmuel, all the 24 books are holy books. But Kodesh HaKadoshim, the holy of holy, is Shir Hashirim. So in other words, compared to the 24 books of Tanakh, Shir Hashirim is Kodesh HaKadoshim. Now, wherever it says in Shir Hashirim the word Shlomo, it goes on Hashem, not on Shlomo HaMelech. Why? Because Shlomo comes from the word mi shahashalom shalom. Whoever shalom belongs to. Who does shalom belong to? Hashem. So in the entire Shir Hashirim, except in one place which we'll notice, when it says the word Shlomo, it means Hashem. It does not mean Shlomo HaMelech. Number two, there's a famous story of the Mezritcher Maggid. He had a student called Rabbi Elimelech of Lizinsk, and every Friday afternoon, a lot of Hasidim have a tradition, and Tzvardim, you say the entire Shir Hashirim. That's what you do every Friday night. You say the whole Shir Hashirim. So this Rabbi Elimelech of Lizinsk was saying Shir Hashirim in the shul. In the time that he was saying Shir Hashirim, the Maggid of Mezritch was taking a little nap for Shabbat, which is also mitzvah. So he was saying Shir Hashirim, and it was such a powerful experience that the angels in heaven started to dance. The Maggid of Mezritch, which is taking a nap, it can't sleep because the angels are dancing in heaven. And if the angels are dancing in heaven, how is he going to be able to go to sleep? And he's supposed to sleep a little before Shabbos. So he asked his Gabbai, please go to Rabbi Elimelech Melazinsk and tell him, do me a favor. Stop saying Shir Hashirim. Because when you say Shir Hashirim, all the angels are dancing and I can't sleep. And my sleep is even higher than you saying Shir Hashirim. So Rabbi Melech said, okay, Rebbe says I should stop. But the truth is, Shir Hashirim is such a powerful thing. Many Jews that don't say Shir Hashirim every Friday, but the nights of Pesach, after the Seder, they say the whole Shir Hashirim. In many communities, on Shabbos of Chol Hamoed Pesach, they say the whole Shir Hashirim, they read it b'tzibur, in the whole community, they read it. So Shir Hashirim is, I call it Kodesh HaKadoshim, the holiest of the holiest. So I found, thank God, and I want to thank Roy for printing it with nikudot, which in the original text it doesn't have any nikudot. So at least you could take this and relearn it and understand that a lot of the concepts are going to be new concepts, totally new, which we call this the Torah of Mashiach. This is what Mashiach is going to teach us. So if you want a taste of what you're going to be learning when Mashiach comes, this is a little taste of it. But don't get lost because it's a build-up. So tonight we're going to cover one whole chapter, but we're not going to finish the entire, we call it the entire pasuk It's the first pasuk. This is the whole thing. It's like 10 pages. But we're going to finish one whole chapter, so you walk out tonight with one entire concept. And you can think about it and think about it, so then when we get to the second concept, you'll be able to build to the next. So the idea is we're building here by the time you finish learning the 50 pages of Shir Hashirim, and then you say Shir Hashirim, the angels are really going to dance. So let's start page 1. For Yuval ben Esther. And all the Cholei Yisrael, and all the Chayalim, and all the hostages, and all Am Yisrael. So I'm going to read it inside word for word, because that's the whole idea of this shiur. It's going to go word for word, and we're going to explain, obviously. And again, it's new concepts, but don't, if you have questions on the concept, please ask. Shir Hashirim asher לשלמה. This is the first pasuk of Shir Hashirim that is לשלמה, which means Hashem. What is the first pasuk?
There is a reason why you say Shlomo and not Hashem.
Yeah, because Melech Shahashalom Shalo. It's the king that makes peace for the whole world. Hashem brings peace to the whole world. And Shlomo, because Shlomo brought this down. Shlomo HaMelech taught us, so it came to Shlomo. Shir Hashirim asher לשלמה. yashekeini min pihu. Ki tovim dodecha miyayin. The translation means, I would like to get a kiss from your mouth, because your friendship to me is better than good wine. Which means, Am Yisrael and Hashem. Shlomo was Hashem. We're saying to Hashem, I'd rather get a kiss from you than having good wine, because your friendship is more cherished than having a good wine. Now, good wine has a whole spiritual meaning, what good wine is. It's not just drinking good wine, but even the spiritual concept of wine, it's better to get a kiss from Hashem, which we'll soon see what that is, than having the good wine. So now, Hine Noida Shakadosh Baruch Hu Nikra Chosson or Knesset Yisrael Nikra B'Shem Kallah. Hashem is called the Chatan, and the Jewish people are called Kallah. Why? Why is Hashem called Chatan? Hainu, he explains, Al Shem Hamshochas V'Hashpaah Satei Yisrael. When did Hashem get the title? And when did Hashem get the name Chatan? Is when he gave the Jewish people the Torah. Why? What does Torah got to do with Chatan? Because the translation of the word Chatan is Chavot Darga, going down the steps, going down. That means Hashem is all the way there, and he's coming down to us. So Chatan means Nechot, going down, Darga, going down a step. Because for Hashem to give us the Torah, Hashem had to go down from his infinite level to put himself into the Torah that he's giving to us. So the word Chatan means I'm going down. And therefore, when was Hashem's wedding? When he gave us the Torah, he became the Chatan, because he brought himself down and put himself into the Torah and gave it to us. And therefore it says, Hamasameach es Chatan. Today, if you go to a wedding and you make the Chatan happy, Zocha, you're going to be Zocha l'Torah, to get the Torah Shenitna behei koilos. The Torah was given with 5 different Kol Hashem, Ba'alamayim, Kol Hashem, Ba'koyach, Kol Hashem, all the 5 sounds of Hashem. So v'lachein, ki Chosson hu chavois darga. The translation of the word Chosson means going down. Dahainu yiridas v'hamshachas oirin sebaruch l'tav shetera. Chatan means that Hashem brings his infinite light to come down and to clothe itself into the Torah. So Torah is Hashem's wisdom, but Hashem is far higher than that. Hashem is infinitely above wisdom, above the Torah. But since Hashem wanted to give us the Torah, so he put himself into the Torah, and then he brought himself down. That's Chatan, Nechot Daga. He put himself in the Torah, and he says, here guys, I want to give you the Torah. Knesset Yisrael, the Jewish people, which is the Makor Neshamas Yisrael, V'chein kol nitzut nitzut misol b'prat, and every single Jewish nitzut means every spark, and every Jew. He came down to a lower level, and that's Chatan Nechot Arga, and Kallah is the Jewish people. The next whole page is going to focus not on the Chatan, which is Hashem. We're going to focus on the Jewish people, the Kallah. Why are the Jews called Kallah? And why is Kallah represent a Kallah? So he says, V'hine Kallah yeshvoi beis pirushim. The word Kallah has two different explanations. The word Kallah, ha'aleph, miloshen ki loyon. What does ki loyon mean? Shemechala umevala hakol miloshen Kallah. Extinction, non-existing, non-existence. Everything is like totally nullified. It doesn't exist. Kemilas Kallah. When you say Kallah, Hishem dova hamoira al hapu'ula. When you say Kallah, means you're doing something. You're becoming nothing. Similar to when you take a candle and you fill up oil and then the wick burns. As the wick is burning, the oil is becoming extinct because the oil becomes part of the fire till there's no oil left. So Kallah means you're becoming totally non-existent. And as it says, Nikas Kallah, that's why the Jews are called Kallah. V'sheniskalu. As when Hashem gave us the Torah, what happened to all the Jews? They all died. When he gave us the first of the 10 Commandments, they couldn't handle it. They became extinct. And then he gave us the second one. What happened? Kallah. We got extinct again. We became totally non-existent. So Kallah represents the Jewish people, that we are totally nullified to Hashem. We don't exist. That's one translation of the word Kallah. V'habet. What's the second translation of the word Kallah? Kolsa nafshi. What is kolsa nafshi? Hainu shukas hanefesh ledabek v'lekol b'yisbarach. The yearning and the desire of your soul to connect to Hashem. So first translation of the word Kallah means I don't exist. I'm totally nullified to Hashem. When you're totally nullified to Hashem and it's all Hashem, there's nothing to yearn for. You're not here. You can't even say I love Hashem because there's no I. I'm totally non-existent. Kilayon. It's like the oil that gets extinguished into the fire. Then there's another level of Kallah, which is, no, I still exist, but I have a yearning and I have a desire to connect to Hashem. So which Kallah are we? Are we the Kallah that we totally don't exist and it's all Hashem? Or are we the Kallah that we do exist, but we have the yearning and to connect to Hashem? Both. So he says, Inyan, we're going to go through this. V'hine v'Krias Shemah, when we say Shema every day, we say like this. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. So when you say Hashem Echad, what are you supposed to think about when you say Hashem Echad? That there's only one God? That I don't need to say Shema. That everyone knows there's only one God. I mean, to say there's two gods, you don't have to say Shema. That's already a crazy person thinks there's two. It's hard enough to believe in one God, to say there's two gods. But Hashem Echad means no. Limsoy nafshe be'echad. Echad means the only thing that exists is Hashem. It's not this one Hashem. Achdusa Yisbarach means that everything is Hashem. Hashem is Echad. That's the only thing there is. So when I say Shema Yisrael Hashem Echad, I'm supposed to be like the first Kallah, which I don't exist. It's all Hashem. It's called in Kabbalah Yehuda Ila'ah. Yehuda Ila'ah means it's only Hashem. There's nothing else that there is. Me, this, it's all Hashem. V'habes. Then there's another level, which after we say Shema Yisrael, what's the next sentence we say? No, but the next, V'havta b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha. What does the Talmud say when it says b'chol nafshecha? Afilu noitel es nafshecha. You have to connect to Hashem, even if it means it takes away your neshama, your soul. That means I'm putting on tefillin every day, I'm lighting candles, whatever, even if it means I have to give up my desires and I have to give up my temptation or whatever. I'm doing it.
You're supposed to die on Kedushat Hashem.
That's not that's the first one. That's Hashem Echad. It's only Hashem. The second one is I give up my desires. I have a desire to do exercise in the morning. Instead, I'm going to daven. I gave up my ratzon, my what I have a desire to, because I want to do something for Hashem. Ratzon hanefesh. It's a will of your neshama that expresses that, you know what, b'chol nafshecha, I'm going to give for Hashem. Now, what's the difference? He's going to explain the difference between Hashem Echad and b'chol nafshecha, the two differences. V'oid, he says, I have another problem. What did we say Hashem Echad means? That what's the only thing that exists is Hashem. So if the only thing that exists is Hashem, so how could I say v'ahavta? What does v'ahavta means? I should love Hashem with all. I'm not here. How could I tell you to love if you don't exist? I said Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. What does Hashem Echad mean? That it's only Hashem. That there's nothing else in this world. Everything is Hashem. So how could I say in the next paragraph, I should love Hashem? There's no I. I means that I do exist. And I just said Hashem Echad, that there's only thing that exists is Hashem. So how can I say v'ahavta? So he says, he doesn't understand. Like you said, Hashem Echad means I don't exist. Shehu bittul b'metzius, I am totally nullified in existence. So Hashem Echad means I don't exist. Im kain, if I don't exist. If I don't exist, how could I say v'ahavta yesh mishayev, as if there is someone that loves? How could there be someone that loves if I don't exist? So he says, I'll tell you. And this is why we say between Shema and v'ahavta, we say Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Elel Avad. That sentence, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Elel Avad, separates between the higher level and the lower level. That is like almost like Shema is the way Hashem sees it, and v'ahavta is the way Hashem made us see it in the way, as we'll explain. So the Baruch Shem is almost like almost, I wouldn't say a stop sign, but like a yield sign. It's like, you're Shema Yisrael, you don't exist. Then Baruch Shem says, no, you're here. There's a world, Hashem made a world, and therefore v'ahavta, you have to love Hashem. But if you're up to Shema Yisrael, there's no world, there's no you. But since it's Baruch Shem, so now we're going to make a separation, and now you exist already. What does that mean? Hine abchinas va'inyin ki hine abchinas ha'alef l'msanashe be'echad hu'machma Shema Yisrael. What is it? What's the translation of the word Shema? So really, you could translate Shema means to listen. But that's not what Shema means here. Here it means Meloshen Havana. Havana means to understand, to grasp, to comprehend, to connect. So when I say Shema Yisrael, who am I talking to? I'm not talking to someone else, listen. I'm talking to myself, that I should understand. What should I understand? Shehi is braininess. I understand what? Begdulas ein sei baruch hu. I understand the greatness of Hashem. Ich shehu echad. How Hashem is one. Kamei koider shenivra ela b'lishim shinui. Kamei shekasa ani Hashem le'shenisi. Atu ha'che le'nivra. Atu rishin v'ani acheinu ba'em lakim. So when I say Shema, what am I thinking of? Think for a minute. Wow, Hashem is the same God before the world. As we say, Atahu Atshalai Nivra Elam, Atahu Mishanivra. What does it mean, Atahu? That by Hashem, even though the world was created, it doesn't change. Because for Hashem, in Hashem's perspective, it's as if there's no world. The fact that Hashem made the world didn't make that there's a world. It's totally non-exist, as if there was no world to begin with, even though He made the world. Atahu Atshalai Nivra Elam. Hashem is the same God before He created the world. Atahu Mishaniva, you're the same one that there was before the world was created. You're the same one that the only thing that exists is you. There's nothing else that exists, it's just Hashem. That's what I think about when I say Shema. And Ein Elokim, what does it mean? Ani Rishon v'ani Achron. I'm first, I'm last. What do you mean I'm first, I'm last? Hashem, just like before the world was created, what existed?
Hashem.
Only Hashem, there was nothing else. So now that there is a world, Ani Acharon, it's the only one that exists. Ani, the same Ani Rishon that was here before everything, it's Ani Acharon, I'm here after, there's no difference. U'min ba'aladai ein Elokim, what do you mean ein Elokim? There's no, Elokim is Lashon Helem, Tzimtzum. The idea of Elokim is to conceal the infinite God. That's why in the days of creation, when Hashem created the world, the 6 days of creation, he used 32 times the name Elokim. Elokim, Elokim. Elokim is concealing. It's hiding the infinite truth. Because if Hashem didn't, there wouldn't be a world. So Hashem had to conceal his infinity, which is that there's only Hashem. Because if there's only Hashem, how could I create the world? So I have to cover it. What covers it? Elokim. But when we say Ani Rishon v'ani Achron, Ein Elokim, what does it mean Ein Elokim? For God, there's no concealment. There's no Elokim. For Hashem, in God's perspective, it's as if there was never a concealment. It's always God. So, Kikula, turn the page, Kallah Hashiv. Everything for Hashem is there's nothing else that exists. You understand? Kallah Hashiv means it has no meaning. It's as if it doesn't exist. Ve'ilazais, v'loi sechalu Hashem kachi, sheloi lasis malkam chalal, li is David nifred mimeni yizbarach chas v'shalom. So when you say Shema, the first pasuk of Shema, you're thinking all about this. Hashem is the only God. There's nothing else that exists. Even the world that He created is as if it doesn't exist. It's totally nullified to God, kiloyon. Like the first translation of the word Kallah. Extinguished. There's nothing. It's all Hashem. And that's why it says, V'loi sechalolu. What does V'loi sechalolu mean? Don't desecrate Hashem. But Chassidus says, Shaloi lasas mokom chalal. Don't make anywhere in the world empty of Hashem. Don't say that Hashem is not here. Everything is Hashem. Chalal means a void, an emptiness. Kallah, like a hole. Chalul, yeah. So by you saying, well, here Hashem is not here. No. Hashem is here just like He was always and nothing has changed. Umemela, when you think about Shema Yisrael, the Kol HaTayvus HaYeshus, you have no more desires. Because you don't exist, it's all Hashem. V'zeh Lashon Kol Layon, she'is batlu kol ritzoneisa v'lo yishar shum ratzon elav yizbarach. So that's why you say Shema Yisrael, you basically is the first level of Kallah, which is that the only thing that there is Hashem. Even though Hashem created the world, nothing has changed. The only thing that there is Hashem. And therefore I don't exist. And therefore I have no desires. I'm not here, it's all Hashem. And that's Shema Yisrael, Hashem Echad. And I'm ready to give up my life to Hashem because I'm nothing. It's all Hashem. I'm ready to, like the oil going out to the fire, extinguishing into the flame. I'm ready to be extinguished in God's flame. I don't exist, it's all Hashem. That's the first Kallah. However, Kiloyon. However, there's the second level Kallah. The second level of Kallah means Lashon Tshuka v'Ava. What's Tshuka v'Ava mean? Passion. Desire and love and passion. Shehu b'chinas bittul hayesh. What's bittul hayesh mean? Hainu shu yesh v'davar. You are something. V'loi kiloyon ela shemevateles atzmai. Sheroitze likolo libatel. V'lochein, therefore, mafsikim bein beis b'chinas mesirus nefesh v'baruch shem malchusi. That's why we make a difference between Shema Yisrael and Baruch Shem, which is Yichud Tata. So basically, what is he saying? He's saying, my dear friends, Hashem is the Chatan. What does Chatan mean? He's coming down to us. Because Hashem himself is above everything. And he came down on the day of his wedding, which is when he gave us the Torah. And why did he come down? Because Chatan means Nechot Darga, coming down. And who is he giving the Torah to? Am Yisrael. We are called the Kallah. But what kind of Kallah are we? There's two levels of Kallah. There's a Kallah called Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, that it's all Hashem. I don't exist. And then there's a Kallah, which is Meloshen Shukah, which is I do exist. I am so on, but I have a desire and a yearning to connect to Hashem, which we call Ahava. V'ahavta as Hashem. I want to love Hashem. I want to connect because I'm here and I want to exist. So which one is the right one? Which one are we? So I just want to give two examples to know the difference. There's a called Merkava. In Torah we use it a lot. What's Merkava? Bittul the Merkava. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, all the tzaddikim, did they have their own will? In other words, as it says in Pirkei Avot, Asei ritzon char ketzonoi, or batel ritzon cham reitzonoi. What is the difference? Asei ritzon cha means, I exist, and I have a will. I want, but I'm going to do what Hashem wants. Batel ritzon cha means I don't have a will. I'm a total merkava. Merkava means I'm a chariot to the rider. Whatever Hashem wants, that's what I want. It's not I want. I don't even have an I. Hashem just expresses himself to me. It's like when you go in a car. The car is the merkava. Does the car have its own will? No. The car turns where the driver wants it to turn. So if the driver wants to go right, the car goes right. If the driver wants to go left, the car goes left. So the car is totally in the hands. Kegarzon, the yad hachotzev. He's like totally in the hands of the rider. Whatever the rider wants. So whatever Abraham was thinking in his mind, or whatever desire he had wasn't his. Whatever Hashem wants, that's what he did. That's why it says when Abraham did the Brit Milah at 99 years old, and at the third day, Hashem came to visit him to see how he was feeling. So it says he was talking to Hashem. Hashem saying, "How you doing? How you feeling?" and talking. And all of a sudden, he sees three people standing there, and he says, "Hashem, excuse me, I have to take care of the guest." So the question the Chassidus asks, how did Abraham have the audacity to say to Hashem, "Excuse me, I'm going now"? The answer is no. Abraham was on the level of the first Kallah, which is, I'm totally Hashem. So when he felt in him that desire to run to them, means that's what Hashem wanted. It's not like he said, "Oh, you know what? I'm talking to Hashem, but I have something more important than Hashem. I'm going to take the guest." No. Avraham didn't have anything of himself. The fact that he felt to run to the guest means that's what Hashem wanted. Because he didn't have his own ratzon. Batel ratzoncha. He was a chariot, the merkava Hashem, kol yemei chayim. So whatever Avraham desired wasn't his desire. He was totally like the car to the rider. He said, "Hashem, I'm yours. I don't exist. It's all you." In a practical way. So any desire that Hashem wanted, Avraham had. So if he runs for the guest, and that's how we learn from Avraham running to the guest, that it's more important to have guests than to talk to Hashem. How did Avraham know it? Avraham didn't have to know it. He was totally nullified, like the first level of Kallah. So whatever Hashem wants, it's a natural thing, so he runs. The previous Rebbe, which tonight we celebrate 97 years of the redemption of him going out of Galut in Russia, he said when he was 9 years old, he trained his body to be a totally merkava to Hashem, that whatever the Torah wants, his body naturally does. So when he wakes up in the morning, he doesn't have to tell himself, "Oh, I should say Modani and wash my hands." His body already says Modani and already washes the hands because min nafshecha. He's totally a merkava to Hashem. That's the first level of Kallah. Moshe Rabbeinu. It says in the Shema, "V'nasati esev b'satcha levemtacha." Moshe says, "I will give grass to your animals." What do you mean Moshe is going to give grass to our animals? Hashem is. But Hashem, no, you're missing the point. Moshe was totally kiloyon. He was just a funnel. When he says I, he didn't mean I, because there was no I. His I is Hashem. V'nasati mitar artzachem, because Moshe is saying the Shema. He says the Shema Tam Yisrael. V'nasati, I will give him, not Moshe. But by Moshe, who's his I? Who's the I in him? Hashem, because he doesn't exist. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, the one that wrote the Zohar, he said, Man pnei adam in Hashem, do Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. If you want to go greet Hashem, go to Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. That's what he said on himself. What does that mean? He was on the level of Kallah, which is the first level that he doesn't exist. So then what is him? He's only Hashem. There's nothing else about him. He doesn't mean I, that we mean ego I. He doesn't have an ego. He doesn't exist. He's a Kallah. He's kiloyon. He's non-existing. So the I doesn't mean him. It means Hashem. That's him. Because he's just a tool to Hashem. So when we say Shema, we're on this level. But then you get to Baruch Shem Kavod. What is Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusay? Look what he says. V'lachem afsikim. V'im beis b'chinas mesirus nefesh v'baruch Shem Kavod Malchusay l'olam b'chinas chator. Why? Shem b'chinas Malchusay nishavo kol hanevroim me'ayin l'yesh. L'fi she'ein melech b'layom. In Chassidut and Kabbalah, it says all over that in order for Hashem to create a world where the world feels independent existence, how could Hashem make it? How could Hashem make a world to feel that they're independent? He created a thing called Malchut. There's 10 sfirot, Chochmah, Bina, Das, Chesed, Gvur. The last one is called Malchut, the last of the 10. What does Malchut mean? Melech, a king. Now, what is a king? It says, Ein Melech below Am. You can't be a king if you don't have people to be a king. But Am comes from the word Omemut, which Omemut means people that are distant from the king, like Meloshon Gechalim Omemot. You have coals that are like already extinguished, like they're already like dimmed. They're still hot, but you don't see anymore the flame. That's called omamot with an ayin. It's like very low. Omemot. Ayin vav mem vav mem. Omemot. Yeah, like getting smaller. Yeah. So he says dim. So in order for a melech to be a melech, he can't be a king over his kids. You're not a king over your kid. You're a father. You want to be a ruler or something else. A king means you need to have people that are a little distant from you, and then they lift you up and they look up to you to lead them. So you're still people, but compared to the king, you're on a lower level. A good example, a little example is, let's say the Rebbe and the Hasidim. It's not like the Rebbe is a ruler. We look up to the Rebbe at such a high level, and we're just Am. So we're accepting the Rebbe to lead us and be our Melech, but not in a dictative way, but in a willing. Malchusay b'ratzon kiblu aleim. Willingly, we want this Melech. So when we say Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto, what does it mean? Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto. What does Malchuto mean? That in order to create a world that feels independent and existing in its own entity, Hashem created Sfirat HaMalchut, which conceals the Hashem that's Echad. It conceals it. So now all of a sudden, there's a people that are Omemut, and there is Malchut, and now we could have relation to people that feel independent, people that feel creations, angels that feel independent. All the angels are created after Malchut. Malchut, angels go lower than Malchut of Atzilut. They're already a creation of God. So they're on a lower level. They're not bittul b'mitziut. They're bittul ayesh. They exist. Michael, what does Michael do a whole day? He loves Hashem. That's what Michal does the whole day. He's loving Hashem. Why? Because he feels he's something, but he has a yearning to love Hashem. Michal can never reach the level of the first level of Kallah, total non-existing, because then he doesn't exist. Only a Jew and Am Yisrael can live in this world and be totally non-existing and still live here. That's a chidush. But an angel cannot feel God that he's the only thing, because then who is he going to love? And he doesn't exist. So this is what he says, that in order for Hashem to create a world, he made up Malchut. We say, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuso. Blessed is Hashem that created Malchus, La'olam Va'ed. And now when we have Malchut that conceals the infinite of Hashem, and now there can be people, now there can be angels, now there can be souls, now there can be animals, now there can be a whole world. Because now things could feel independent. Because if we wouldn't have that Malchut, we would never feel independent. If we won't feel independent, there's no world. So Hashem made this Malchut. The Hainu, God himself. Metzamtzem means conceal. Tzimtzum is like contracts. Mastir, he conceals. He conceals his infinite light. How built about gold, Hashem covers his infinite light. And make a yesh. There's an animal, they call it a turtle. A turtle is called in Aramaic kamtza, kuf mem tzadek aleph, which has like a kind of a shell that covers the entire. The turtle comes out of the shell, but the shell is part of him. So the shell covers him, but it grows with him. It's like it's a minei ubei. It's from himself. He has the concealment, the cover. Same thing, the fact that Hashem made himself concealed, in order to conceal Hashem, who could conceal Hashem? Only Hashem. So Hashem himself concealed himself like the turtle conceals himself from himself. Because the only one that can conceal infinite and make infinite finite is someone that's above infinite and finite. Who's that? Hashem. So Hashem made the concealment, which is Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusa L'Olam Va'ed, and now all of a sudden there's a world, there's things. From this level of Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusa, now you can have Yahavta, now you can love Hashem, because Yesh Misha Oyev, there's someone that I love, there's me, and I love Hashem. But on the higher level of Yichud, which is Shema Yisrael, there's no such a thing. You don't exist. So
why there cannot be a word that is not independent? You said that if there was no independency, you couldn't.
There's no world. A world, because the whole idea of world, the translation of the word, the world is olam. Olam is helem, concealed, and you feel that I'm independent. I don't feel, at least the way I feel I'm totally nullified to God, and the only thing there is God. That's not how Hashem made us feel, or the world feel. When you look at the world, the world feels independent. It knows there's God. I believe in God. I know everything is Hashem, but I don't feel totally nullified to Hashem. I feel there's a world, and I know that there's Hashem that I want to love, I want to connect to. That's how Hashem made the Helem. But if we would have Hashem revealed here, like He was there, then we don't feel anything. We don't exist. In other words, the only way that can be independent is if we have, so to say, a void, but not a real void. A void in our feelings, a void in the way we see the reality. In Kabbalah, it's called tzimtzum. The idea of the tzimtzum is just to make this new world the way we see it. A world that's independent. Now, which one does Shlomo HaMelech speak about Shir Hashirim? Because we said that in Shir Hashirim, God is the Chatan, and we are the Kallah. And Shir Hashirim was written to represent the day that Hashem married us, which is Matan Torah. So which Kallah does he speak about, like Anila Dodi, which one does he talk about? So look what he says here. Ubeis B'chinas Elu, These two levels of Kallah, which Kallah? Extinction and connection, right? There's two different Kallahs. That's called Shchinta Ila'ah or Shchinta Tata'ah. Vehim beis b'chinas Kallah shenemar b'Shir Hashirim. If you look at Shir Hashirim, it speaks about both of them. Why? Shekol Shir Hashirim. The entire book of Shir Hashirim medaber al beis b'chinas Kallah keyadua. It speaks about both of them. Why? Ki beis pa'amim. Twice. Nema v'nishna b'Shir Hashirim hachibuv shebechasel Kallah. When we're going to learn through the whole Shir Hashirim, it's twice that Shlomo Melech goes through the love of a girl, a bride to the groom, and the groom to the bride, which is the Hamisol to Hashem and Hashem to Hamisol. Why twice? Twice in Shir Hashirim. The Roim is that is telling us base Pinas Kallah. There's two levels. Now I'll tell you an interesting thing. In Tanya, it speaks about, it's called tzaddik and a Beinoni. What's the difference? A tzaddik is really the first level of Kallah, which is totally nullified to Hashem, which is tzaddikim. You know, they don't have their own desire, whatever they want, it's all what Hashem wants, whatever they think, it's all what, they're totally nullified to Hashem, like we call it, nuneyama, like the fish in the water. They don't live, the whole breath, the whole life is the water. They don't exist, the whole oxygen is the water. They're all Hashem. But then there's another level that Hashem made, which is most of 99% of everyone, which is a Beinoni. What's a Beinoni? A Beinoni is, so no, I feel I'm here. I have a Yetzer Hara, I have an animal desire, and I have to overcome it. And I have to realize that I have to love Hashem, and Hashem created the world, that I should have the desire to love Him, and so on. So which one does Hashem love? Both of them. They're both a Kallah in Shir Hashirim. And as we're going to see, we're not going to finish the whole thing, but that's also what creates two Chatanim. If you know in the bracha of the Sheva Brachot that you say by the Chuppah, you say Kol Metzhalot Chatanim. Why? Kol Metzhalot Chatanim. Metzhalot is like Tzahala V'Samecha. Partying. So it says Chatanim double. If there's only one God, you should say Kol Mitzalot Chatan. What's Chatanim? And in every wedding, you only have one Chatan. You don't have two Chatans marrying. You don't have two Chatans. So he says no. Hine me beis b'chinat Kallah now nimshach li is beis b'chinat Chatanim. I want you to know something. The Kallah, which is the Jewish people, there's two Kallot, right? We said there's the Kallah like tzaddikim, that totally nullified to Hashem. And then there's the Kallah, which is most of us, which is the yearning. We create two different response. If we're on the level of the Kallah, which we don't exist, that's one kind of Chatan you're going to have. That means one kind of relationship with Hashem. If you're on the Kallah where you do exist, then it's another Chatan. It's a different kind of relationship. It's two different Chatanim. Tzaddik and Beinoni, but it's a different response because we create the Chatan. The Kallah is what creates the Chatan. The same thing with a marriage. A marriage has both aspects. The Kallah could have a relationship where the Kallah feels they totally don't exist. It's all the Chatan. And therefore that's one level. And then there is no. The Kallah exists. And there's a chukah and a connection. And then the Chatan. But it's a different type of Chatan and a different type of Kallah. It's two different relationships. Which one? They're both right. But both is what Shlomo HaMelech is talking about in the Shir Hashirim to tell us that, you know what? That they're both important. Which is interesting just to mention, in the world today, if you say the word that the Kallah, we spoke about Hashem and Am Yisrael. So Am Yisrael is the Kallah and Hashem is the Chatan. And we said Kallah means totally non-existent is one level, and then there's yearning and kiloyon is another level. So the same thing is in a marriage of a Chatan and Kallah. In other words, the Chatan of Hashem and the Kallah of Am Yisrael is the same reflection of the relationship between Chatan and Kallah in this world when they get married. So if you say to a Kallah, you know what Kallah means? You totally don't exist. It's all the Chatan. Is that a degradation or is that a higher level? Is that a tzaddik? So look what it says in the Torah. Eizehi isha kshera ha'oseh. What does Ratzon Ba'ala mean? Not only she creates the will of the husband, whatever he wants, that's what I want. There's no two wills here.
They're one.
Kallah means the true level of unity is not that there's two people here. It's not chas v'sholom putting down anyone. It's just the opposite. What would you rather be, a tzaddik, which is Kallah, you don't exist, or Beinani, which is Kallah, you do exist, connect to Hashem? Which one would you want?
Tzaddik.
Oh, he's getting scared. Look at that. I'm asking a
I'm
question.
thinking you should have this class. I'm just thinking you should have this class 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Okay, but the point.
I'll answer you. It's a
No.
very complicated question.
Exactly.
There's two aspects. Because tzaddik, it's all come natural for him, so he doesn't need to work hard to make Hashem happy. Benoni, he has a lot more challenges. So which one has Hashem more respect? The one that has the more challenges or the one that come natural?
Okay, 100%.
It's
I agree.
tzaddik.
But to become a tzaddik, it's also a lot of work to become the tzaddik. Once you're a tzaddik, I agree. But to become a tzaddik is even harder than to be a Beinani. To become, not when you. No one is born a tzaddik.
But if there is no time by God, so what's the difference?
It's
So
not the
if
point.
it's
Except
tzaddik,
for we.
The point is like this. Let me explain to you. Let me explain to you what I mean. Would you rather be a zanav la'aroyot or rosh l'shu'alim? What do I mean by that? A zanav la'aroyot means I'm just a zanav, but I'm part of aroyot. But I'm a zanav. But I'm part of Aryeh. Or I can be a Rosh, L'shu'alim. What does the Torah say? Havizanav la'arayot, va'alti Rosh L'shu'alim. What does it mean? I'll explain what I mean. Would I rather be nothing? When you mean nothing, you don't mean really nothing, that you're nothing. You mean that you become part of Hashem. When you look at the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, or you look at Moshe Rabbeinu, they were flesh and blood, but they were so extinguished to Hashem that their whole mitziut, when you looked at them, it was just an expression of Hashem. So when you look at Moshe Rabbeinu, of Avram Avinu, all the tzaddikim, their mitziut, even though they're not themselves, but their whole being nothing, meaning totally nullified, makes them even more important than us being who we are independent. Because I'd rather be extinguished part and be part of Hashem than be my own Rosh L'shu'alim. You understand what I'm trying to say? So therefore, what I'm trying to say is like this. When I say to a Kallah, that you want to know what a Kallah means, the higher level, means kiloyon. You don't exist. It's not putting them down. It's giving them a higher level, that they're so united with the Chatan that there's no two entities.
It's more about control the way I see it. But it's
Not control, there's no control. What the Chatan wants, automatically you want the same thing, the opposite. They all want the same thing.
Spiritual.
There's no two people here. There's no one arguing. I'm totally nullified. That's a high level. So Sarah Imenu, when she said, kick out Ishmael. So Avram said, okay. But he didn't want to do it. So Hashem says, Kol asher tomer lecha Sarah. What does it say, Shema b'kolah? Listen to the Ruach HaKodesh Sheba. She's not talking. She's the Kiloyon. She's totally to Hashem. It's Hashem talking through her. Hashem wants Yishmael out. It's not a Sarah. Sarah has no will. She's a Kallah Kiloyon. She doesn't exist. But Kol asher tomer lecha Sarah, Shema b'kolah. What's the call? Kol Hashem. Because she's not exist. She's a Kallah, totally a
So
Kallah.
why it's coming from God through Sarah and not directly to Abraham?
But that's even higher. Going through Sarah to Abraham is higher than coming to Abraham.
Why?
Because when Am Yisrael are kiloyon, that's a bigger achievement. Hashem to be Hashem. Okay, Hashem is everything. But we to be totally nullified to Hashem, that means we have to work on ourselves and hard that we realize we're nothing, it's all Hashem. That's an accomplishment. For Hashem to be Hashem is no accomplishment. For us to be totally nullified to Hashem, bittul b'mitziut, that's a big work. We have to become totally kiloyon, Kallah, kalot nefesh. There's a story of the son of the Maggid of Mezrich. His name was Avraham HaMalach. That was his name, Avraham HaMalach, because he was for sure not a human being. You know, is that? So one time he made a circle like this, and he started to think about Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, that everything is God, I don't exist. And his soul was already leaving his body, and he was about to, kalot hanefesh. The Alter Rebbe, the one that wrote the Shir Hashirim, walks by and he sees he's finished. Like by Matan Torah, he's gone. He pulled him out of the circle and sat him down and gave him to eat a bagel with butter. Why bagel or butter? Because he had to bring him down to world again. And butter is the fat of the milk, and bagel, so it brought down the gashmi, shebegashmi, brought him back down. So that's kalot hanefesh. But Hashem wants us to live in this world. Hashem doesn't want us to not exist. So the trick is, you should be a Kallah while you're alive here. Not that your neshama leaves. While you're alive in this physical world, to be on the level of Kallah, that I feel that I'm just a vehicle to Hashem, merkava. Whatever Hashem wants, that's what I want. There's no want that I have to want. It's all Hashem. That's the Kallah of the ultimate level of Kallah. We have 5 more minutes and then finish. Okay, 5 more minutes, we finish. We're just finishing this page on the left side. Bet. From the 2 levels of Kallah, we have 2 levels of Chatan. B'chinas chus darga, like I told you. A Chatan means going down. Chus in Aramaic means nachat, like to go down. So a Kallah has to go down. V'zehu kol mitzhalot chasanim mechupatzam chatanim trei mashma. 2. How could it be 2? So he says, Vayin yuva b'maimer, it says, Melech meshubach umefoar adei ad Shema hagadol. This king that's exalted and praised. Adei ad means like no end. Shema hagadol, his big name. So he asks a simple question. What does it mean? God's big name and God's small name. What small name does God have? What big name does he have? Yeah. God has a big name, a small name. And another thing he's going to end off, and we'll end off with this second question. And I want to understand you one question. It says in Chazal, in Gemara, Pirkei de Rabbi Lezer, Ad sheloi nivra ha'olam. Before the world was created, that means before there was any universe, any planets, anything, hayahu ushmoi bilvad. That the only thing that exists was Hashem and His name. How could Hashem have a name if there's no world? Why? There's no one to call Him Hashem. A name is only for someone else. To me, meaning I have a name so someone could call me. But if there's nothing, there's no existence, there's no world, there's no planets, there's no angels, there's nothing, there's only Hashem. So what kind of name was there? Hayahu, him, and his name. What kind of name? Who is he talking? There's no one to call him. So what do you mean Hashem? This is what it says in the top. Pirkei de Rabbi Lezer. He had a name. So he's going to go into the concept of Hashem's names and explain. The next piece we'll learn next week is about Chatan. Till now we spoke about the 2 levels of Kallah. We're going to learn about the 2 levels of Hashem. The higher level of Hashem, the lower level of Hashem. The higher level is Hashem Himself. the lower level is the name of Hashem, because the name is not you. The name is already a lower level, and it depends on you which connection you want, the higher level of Hashem, which is the Kallah that totally doesn't exist, or the connection of the name of Hashem, which is the Kallah that's yearning, and the lower level Kallah, which you do exist. That's what we're going to read in the next verse. L'chaim, Hashem should help. You can shut the...
We can leave those here. The next week. These
Yeah, if you want.